Fox obviously did some commentary since Zoran Mamdani was sworn into office. Let's take a look at how they're freaking out.
As the clock struck midnight, Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani was officially sworn in as mayor of America's largest city, where he plans to make his anti-capitalist agenda a reality. Our next guest warns those ideas are nothing new and have failed many times. So what does it mean for America?
Does even Mamdani know his ideas won't work? Awesome. Don't you know socialism doesn't work? Because we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we destroy whatever you're trying to achieve, because God forbid we let anybody get the wrong idea that even a little bit of social democracy and the government doing things that are good for the working class could potentially create an environment of hope for a better future. And we can't have that happen, because then all of these people are going to assume that they can demand more from their elected representatives, and more usually will mean things that harm the bottom line of capital owners and corporations. Obviously, we can't do any of that. So we're going to do everything we can to slap it down. They do know the most successful mayor in New York City's history was a socialist, right? You think they care? It's the same principle behind like hailing FDR as a hero, or who wasn't a socialist, obviously, but the New Deal, or recognizing the benefits of the New Deal in this day and age, while simultaneously pushing back against anything that resembles a modern version of said New Deal. It's ridiculous.
Midterms in 2026. Fox News contributor James Freeman joins us now. James, you've got this piece out, and you know, you're right. Well, it's eloquent, but tell me really what the point is here for Zoran Mamdani. But you know, he goes down to the subway station. Is he trying to say that he's bringing New York back to what it used to be, or turning it into something new?
What is this red flag pin? Is this an American Chinese flag pin? What's going on here? I can't tell. In my head canon, I'm assuming it's a Chinese flag.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. I think he's trying to say he's going to somehow return public transit to its former glory and generally expand city services.
Is the U.S. Marine flag? Okay, in my mind, it's the Chinese flag.
The metaphor he's just created is really something. You see him there in underground. This is a subway station that has been abandoned for the last 80 years. It was one of the original subway stations, and then when they brought in new cars, there was a dangerous gap, so they could.
I wonder if there's any symbolism associated with this, and perhaps like they are refusing to recognize that and instead making commentary over it.
No longer used this platform and closed it down in 1945. So dated, obsolete, dark, dingy is kind of a nice description of socialism and the misery it's caused over the last century. Let's hope, let's hope this isn't some kind of sick sense of humor for him, but maybe it's kind of a way of lowering expectations. But they should be very low. These are policies he's promised that have failed all over the world and in New York City as well. We've had some form of rent control for roughly a century. We know this doesn't work, and I think the hope for those of us in this city is that the institutional restraints on him slow him down a bit, that he maybe has a change of heart, and I'd hope your viewers around the country maybe resist laughing at all of our self-inflicted misery.
You know, there's really two angles when it comes to Zoran Mamdani that we can look at. One of them is his
He himself is a socialist advancing social democracy, right? But these guys say everything is socialist. They say Nancy Pelosi is socialist. They say social democracy is socialist. None of it matters. Just do right by your voters, okay? It's incredibly modest. Like the expansions that he is advocating for, that he ran on, that he won on, are incredibly modest, incredibly incremental reforms in the positive direction. And yet these guys lose their minds over it. And part of that, I mean, a big part of that is obviously like anti-socialist propaganda, no matter what, right? But the reason why that propaganda sticks is because people have been conditioned against this sort of thing pretty aggressively. And that's why I always say you have to organize around this. You have to recognize this when you're organizing. You have to recognize this when you're doing advocacy. The unfortunate reality is that the average American has the brain of a child when it comes, a very angry child when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Economic policies. We just showed you a full screen of those. We talk about freezing the rent, city-run grocery stores, social workers to replace police, free buses. Some of these I don't think will ever even get off the ground. Some of them are radical ideas, and some of them will probably be entertained and implemented in some ways. Those are his economic policies. On the other side is...
Do you think this will water down expectations and popular understanding of what socialism is? No. I think if it's all these incremental gains are successful, it's ultimately a good thing because people will go, oh, that's great. I want that. I guess I should vote for more people who are self-identifying socialists. It's good. It's a good thing. It's the same with Bernie. A lot of people in the United States of America take Bernie Sanders' position for granted. Bernie Sanders, for the most part, has advocated for, again, a similar thing that Zoran is advocating for here, an expansion of existing social safety nets. Even Medicare for all, it's in the name. Medicare is socialized health care. Unfortunately, right now, it's only for 65 plus. Medicare for all would expand that program and allow every American to sign on it, have a single payer system. That exists in social democracies. It's technically not advocacy for seizing the means of production or anything like that. That exists in other social democracies. It's understandable because one of the first things that you learn in your micro and macroeconomic principles class is the concept of inelastic demand goods. So even classical economics understands that healthcare is an inelastic demand good. And therefore, you have to actually either heavily regulate the supply or you have to completely control it. Because otherwise, if you don't do that, companies, private enterprise that is only interested in increasing profits will consistently increase the price point of said good or service because they know if you don't have healthcare, you die. Yeah, with inelastic demand, the concept of supply and demand does not work. It's that simple. And yet here in the United States of America, all these brilliant economists refuse to reckon with that. I wonder why. Perhaps it's because they're insincere. It's the first thing you learn in your economics class. Literally one of the first things you learn. Isn't that crazy? And yet all of these people, even liberals, so-called brilliant economists, refuse to bring it up in this conversation. Very strange.
It's the people he's putting in his cabinet. When you take those two angles, what do you have here?
Yeah, there are some restraints.
The idea that all Americans are just Marxist-Leninists in weight, but progressives siphon them away is very silly, but persistent one on the left. Exactly. It's just like, I don't even necessarily disagree with this concept either, as far as like, I always say this, like most people, if you don't use the term socialism, will agree with socialism. Most people, if you don't tell them that you're educating them on class consciousness or their class position in society, will understand it if you don't use certain keywords. 100%. So yes, a lot of the concepts, when removed of the ideological associations and the endless amount of stink associated with it due to Red Scare propaganda, are just basic concepts. Yeah, some of the Phase Boys were talking to Toby from the Sidemen, and people were praising Toby for controlling their own wage and what they want to do. Exactly. Great point, Chatter. I didn't know that the Sidemen had a cooperative formation. Okay, they had a cooperative ownership structure. I only found that out because Toby from the Sidemen. Sidemen, for those of you who don't know, is an incredibly popular, if not the most popular group of content creators in the UK. Okay, their most popular content creator from the Sidemen is KSI, for those of you who don't know. And Sidemen, when they first started as a cooperative, basically. They're the biggest YouTubers in the UK by far, and they have a cooperative structure where they have one pool of money and they have equal say and equal pay over the distribution of resources and the revenue generation strategies, all that stuff. And that's amazing. But of course, when you describe it as like, oh, this is a cooperative corporation, this is socialist, this is like, securing the means of production or whatever, right? People go, oh, gross, I don't want that. That's scary, that's weird, that's bad, that's wrong. But when you just say like, nah, we're friends and we started this business together and we wanted to make sure that like we look out for one another, right? Whereas your co-op, Azan, I literally own and operate a cooperative corporation. What the fuck is wrong with you? Fear and is a cooperative. I wanted to have a conversation with the boys that left Phase about potentially restarting their whatever enterprise they start as a cooperative. Obviously, me having that conversation as as someone who is like advocating for cooperatives is going to be met with tremendous anger and resentment, and people will push back on it, and it will actually lead them away from even thinking about it sincerely. Whereas when you have a successful YouTuber like one of the Sidemen being like, oh yeah, we have a cooperative structure without actually saying those words, much more effective, right? Much more effective way of driving home that point.
Yeah, there are some restraints on him, as you point out. So rent control, going further to freeze the rent. He probably needs to wait a year to get all of his people onto the board that makes those decisions. On the tax side, he'll have to get cooperation from the governor in Albany. So one would hope there's some restraint there, because his plan is to take New York City taxes up way beyond New Jersey, which has...
Yeah, notice how uniparty consensus is established in this moment when it comes to taxing the wealthy. Remember, this is a Fox News guy relying on the Democrat governor of the state of New York to be reasonable and not to increase taxes for the super wealthy. Notice, remember when I said there's that same uniparty consensus?